The most dangerous prison in the world has no walls, no bars, and no guards. Yet millions of people wake up inside it every single day. They follow the same routine, believe what they're told, stay quiet when they should speak, and trade their biggest dreams for a life that feels safe. They think they're free, but they're not. They're controlled by fear. Fear of failure, or fear of judgment, fear of taking one bold step that could change everything. Look around you. Why do so many people settle for a life they secretly hate? Why do they accept being average? It's because someone convinced them that playing small is smart, that taking risks is dangerous, and that success belongs to someone else. The moment you believe those lies, you've already lost. You stop thinking for yourself. You stop fighting for more. You become comfortable living far below your true potential. But here's the truth that most people will never accept. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you freedom, confidence, or success. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or someone to give you permission, you'll wake up years from now living the exact same life. Every day you stay comfortable, the chains around your mind become stronger. Today, that ends. Today you make a decision. You stop living by fear. You stop asking for permission. You stop accepting limits that were never yours. You remember that you were born with the ability to think, to fight, to build, and to create a life on your own terms. The battle isn't against the world. The battle is inside your own mind. Win that battle and nothing can stop you. Lose it and no amount of talent, money, or opportunity will ever set you free, so listen carefully, because what you're about to hear isn't meant to make you comfortable. It's meant to wake you up. Your future is waiting on one decision, the decision to break the slave mindset now. Most people never realize they're living inside a prison because the prison exists in their minds. They wake up every morning, follow the same routine, think the same thoughts, complain about the same problems, and go to sleep believing tomorrow will somehow be different. Days turn into months, months turn into years, and before they know it, their entire life has been built on habits they never chose for themselves. They accepted rules without questioning them. They accepted limits without testing them. They accepted an average life because everyone around them told them it was normal. The scary part is that this kind of prison feels comfortable. It doesn't hurt enough to make people escape. It gives just enough security to keep them from chasing something greater. They convince themselves they're being realistic, but deep inside they know they're settling. Every dream they ignore, every opportunity they avoid, and every excuse they repeat adds another invisible chain around their mind. They stop believing they can become more. Not because they lack talent, but because they've been trained to doubt themselves before they even try. The people who control their own lives are not always the smartest or the luckiest. They're simply the ones who refuse to let fear make their decisions. They question everything. They refuse to accept that average is the only option. They understand that freedom begins the moment you stop living by other people's expectations. The biggest difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise isn't money, education, or background. It's the courage to think for yourself, challenge old beliefs, and refuse to let a limited mindset decide what your future will look like. From the time you're a child, you're taught that the safest path is always the best one. You're told to fit in, stay quiet, follow instructions, avoid mistakes, and never question the system. If you do what everyone else does, people call you responsible. If you think differently, they call you reckless. Over time, you stop trusting your own judgment because you've spent years asking for permission instead of making decisions. Without even noticing it, you've been trained to obey before you've been trained to lead. Think about how often people choose comfort over freedom. They stay in jobs they hate because the paycheck feels safe. They keep toxic friendships because being alone feels scary. They ignore business ideas, dreams, and opportunities because failure seems more painful than regret. They become experts at making excuses instead of making changes. The world rewards people for staying predictable, but greatness has never come from living a predictable life. Every person who achieved something extraordinary had to break away from what everyone else believed was normal. The truth is, obedience has its place, but blind obedience can quietly steal your future. If you spend your entire life waiting for someone else to tell you what to do, you'll never discover what you're truly capable of. Your mind becomes dependent on approval, and your confidence disappears because every decision feels like it belongs to someone else. The moment you begin asking your own questions, making your own choices, and accepting responsibility for the results, you start taking back control. That's when your life stops being a copy of everyone else's and starts becoming something that actually belongs to you. Fear is one of the strongest forces in the world because it doesn't always scream. Most of the time, it whispers. It tells you that you're not ready, that you're too young or too old, that someone else is smarter, more talented, or more deserving than you. It convinces you to wait for the perfect moment, even though that moment never comes. Before you know it, you're watching other people chase the dreams you once had while you remain exactly where you started. The biggest opportunities in life are often lost, not because people aren't capable, but because fear convinces them not to take the first step. Look at how many people stay trapped in the same routine year after year. They complain about their situation, but they never change it. They talk about starting a business, getting in shape, learning a new skill, or building a better future, yet every goal is pushed to tomorrow. The reason isn't a lack of ability. It's the fear of failing, being judged, or hearing someone say, "I told you so." Instead of risking temporary failure, they choose permanent regret. They build a life around avoiding discomfort, and without realizing it, they also avoid growth. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced fear. The difference is they refuse to let it become the driver of their life. Courage doesn't mean you stop feeling afraid. It means you move anyway. Every time you take action despite the doubt in your mind, you become stronger. Every challenge you face teaches you something no classroom ever could. The moment you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if this changes my life?" your entire perspective begins to shift, and the limits that once seemed impossible start disappearing. Your life will always move in the direction of your mindset. Before you become successful, wealthy, respected, or powerful, you first become the kind of person who believes those things are possible. That is where everything begins. If your mind is filled with doubt, excuses, and fear, your actions will reflect it. You'll hesitate when opportunities appear, second-guess your decisions, and give up the moment life becomes difficult. But when your mind is trained to look for solutions instead of problems, every obstacle becomes a challenge to overcome rather than a reason to quit. There are two types of people in this world. The first group waits for instructions. They constantly look around to see what everyone else is doing before making a move. They seek approval, avoid responsibility, and hope someone else will create the future they dream about. The second group thinks differently. They take ownership of their decisions, trust themselves enough to act, and understand that leadership begins long before anyone follows them. They don't need permission to chase their goals because they know no one is coming to build their life for them. Your mindset is the invisible force that shapes every decision you make. It determines whether you see an opportunity or an excuse, whether you step forward or stay frozen, whether you keep fighting or surrender when things get hard. Every great achievement starts with a single decision to think differently from the crowd. The moment you stop believing that your circumstances define your future, you begin to unlock a level of confidence that most people never experience. Once your mind refuses to accept limits, your actions become stronger, your standards become higher, and your entire life starts moving in a completely different direction. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it can quietly become the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you truly want. It's easy to stay where everything feels familiar. It's easy to follow the same routine, make the same choices, and avoid anything that might challenge you. The problem is that nothing extraordinary is built inside a comfort zone. Growth begins the moment you step into uncertainty, where there are no guarantees and no easy answers. That's the place where confidence is earned, discipline is tested, and real transformation begins. Think about the strongest people you admire. They didn't become successful because life was easy or because everything went according to plan. They became stronger because they faced pressure instead of running from it. They accepted failure as part of the process. They learned from rejection, adapted after setbacks, and kept moving even when they felt tired or discouraged. Every difficult experience taught them something valuable. Every challenge forced them to become a better version of themselves. While others searched for comfort, they searched for growth, and that made all the difference. The truth is, comfort can slowly convince you that you're making progress when you're actually standing still. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, take the risk next month, or chase your dream when the timing feels perfect. But tomorrow keeps moving further away, and perfect timing never arrives. Every day you delay is another day your potential remains unused. The life you've always imagined isn't waiting on luck or permission. It's waiting for the moment you become willing to embrace discomfort, face uncertainty with confidence, and prove to yourself that you're capable of far more than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. If you study the lives of people who achieved extraordinary success, you'll notice something they all have in common. Before they built businesses, created wealth, earned respect, or changed the world, they first changed the way they thought. They refused to accept the beliefs that kept everyone else trapped. While others saw limits, they saw possibilities. While others waited for the perfect opportunity, they created one. They understood that the greatest battle wasn't against competition, bad luck, or difficult circumstances. It was against the voice inside their own mind that whispered, maybe you're not good enough. Most people spend their lives asking for permission. They wait for someone to tell them they're ready, smart enough, talented enough, or experienced enough to take the next step. But the people who rise above the crowd understand a simple truth. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is built because of action. Every decision to move forward, even with fear and uncertainty, strengthens the mind. Every challenge faced without giving up creates a level of resilience that can't be taught in a classroom or bought with money. Freedom begins the moment you stop letting your past define your future. It begins when you stop blaming your circumstances, your upbringing, or other people's opinions for where you are today. The people who achieve greatness take complete responsibility for their lives. They understand they can't control everything that happens to them, but they can always control how they respond. That shift in thinking changes everything. It turns obstacles into lessons, failures into experience, and pressure into fuel. Once your mind is no longer controlled by excuses or fear, you begin making decisions with purpose, acting with confidence, and moving toward goals that once seemed impossible. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to make a choice. They can continue living the way they always have, accepting the same excuses, repeating the same habits, and hoping that somehow life will magically improve. Or they can decide that enough is enough. That decision doesn't require perfect timing, unlimited money, or special talent. It only requires the courage to stop lying to yourself. The truth is, the life you want will never be built by the person you are today if you refuse to change the way you think and the way you act. No one can make this decision for you. Your family can't do it. Your friends can't do it. Motivational videos can't do it. Advice from successful people won't change your life unless you choose to apply it. Too many people spend years collecting information but never take action. They know what they should do, yet they continue doing what feels comfortable. Knowledge without action changes nothing. The moment you begin acting on what you already know, your life starts moving in a different direction. Imagine looking back on this day years from now. You could remember it as just another day that passed without meaning. Or you could remember it as the day you finally stopped making excuses and started taking control of your future. Every habit you build, every difficult decision you make, and every challenge you face from this point forward shapes the person you become. Your future is not decided by luck, your background, or other people's opinions. It is built by the choices you make every single day. Every decision either strengthens your mindset or weakens it, and every action moves you closer to the life you truly deserve or further away from it.